Nice to meet you. It's very good, great chance to have a keynote speech here on AGIMM. Since 2018, this AMM, but this time I'd like to say something about how to build SDVs. And for those people who do not familiar with myself, I'd like to explain a little bit about myself. My background is electric engineering and computer science. And I joined, actually I have been working for consumer electronics industry for many years as a system architect of many products, such as the OS for dog robot, and the first set-top box software platform, first digital TV software platform, and finally the hypervisor and operating system and libraries and compilers and tool chains for game consoles. So you can guess which company I was going to. And I joined Toyota 2008, and since then I was working as a chief of development of IVI systems and also thematic systems for many years. And finally, we named that it's connected strategy is a key changing point for the auto industry. So that I started the chief of the department of the connected vehicle strategy, which was directly reporting to the executive vice president to the company. So it has been influencing a lot of the teams in Toyota, including how to leverage the data collected from the vehicle. So it's not just for making the services and functionalities for customers, but also we have started to leverage the data for the many purposes, including the feedbacking to the customers, the maintenance of vehicles and so on, but also it was leveraging for new generation vehicles design as well. And I took the current design since 2021. Okay, so today I'm going to explain about what is SDV, why SDV is necessary, and why now, and then how to develop the software, and what else is required to achieve the real SDV. Firstly, I'd like to explain what is SDV. Many people are talking about SDV right now, but sometimes most of the people are just mentioning what kind of things we can do with SDV, like software update, fancy connection to the net services, or in Toyota, it's the same thing is happening, actually. The reason why we are doing SDV is to make the world with no vehicle incident. That's good. But nobody is mentioning about how to do it, how to do SDV, So SDV is, literally, it's a software-defined vehicles. That means we define the software, we define the vehicle by software and then follow the hardware design after that. That is the easy understanding of SDV. So in the past, or currently, we are defining the required functionalities of vehicle first, and then just bring the past asset of hardware design of the systems, and asks each supplier of hardware to write the software to meet the requirement. And then finally, it's connected in the vehicle's network, and then evaluate everything. That's all. That's very simple. And that's pretty much efficient for saving the cost of the designing of each component of hardware. But the problem is it takes a long time to design the systems, and it's lots of confusion about at the time when we integrate everything into the vehicle, test vehicle. So how to solve it is a way of SDV. We design the software first, logically, and then find the hardware efficiently running the software in real world. So sometimes the hardware is combined. Sometimes hardware has the extra room for upgrading or fixing the software. And then software can start to develop even hardware is not ready yet. So this is a way of designing the vehicle. This is not what the new features to bring the customers. This is just how we design the vehicle, right? Why it's necessary right now? There are tons of reasons. In the past, the cost-optimized design way was taken with the hardware design. And we have to fix the specification of the functionalities of the vehicles early in the development phases. Otherwise, people may confuse, and sometimes if we put more requests afterwards, then the hardware doesn't host that kind of enough capability to do that in terms of size of memory, CPU powers, power consumption, etc., etc. And it takes a long time to do it. And whenever we change the suppliers, or we, buy the parts from the many suppliers all at the same time, then everybody in the industry must work hard to catch up the requirement, not the functionalities of the future itself, but requirement specification is a kind of a goal. And then it takes time to do it, the same things with multiple suppliers. It's very pity. And it's very difficult to upgrade the system software afterwards because the software is purely designed for the fitting the exact capability of the hardware to save the cost of the hardware. So it's really hard. So now the increasing the software size is in the vehicle is extremely bigger than before, especially for the ADAS areas and telematics areas. And more, the software design needs more time than the hardware design. Because the hardware design, we usually leverage the reference hardware design from SoC vendors, but software, no SoC vendor provides a whole stack of software so that we have to do it from scratch or leveraging the OSS like AGL. And then software development and test must be started before the hardware design because of the long time to design the software. Otherwise, we have to learn the software when the hardware is ready, and the tons of software has tons of bugs inside. It's really hard to find the bugs there. So we should test and evaluate the software one by one in the early stages by software simulation and so on. SDV solves these kind of things by introducing a new way of a process of designing the software in the vehicle. And also, there is a reason why we need to employ the software update capability for the vehicles. One is we require to catch up the latest technology and functionalities in the market during the period of time of designing the vehicle. Usually, it would take about 1 to 2 years to catch up the software to design the vehicle. And even after that, we have to take about half a year or one year to get the homologation processes passed. So it's a very long time, so that we minimize to those kind of catching up the new features during the period of time of designing the vehicle. And customers really get used to customize the system as a vehicle more and more than before, because you can customize the PC or smartphone or whatever, the electronic devices can be customized. But vehicle's case is really hard because the design is fixed in advance. So we have to offer much more flexibility of customizing the vehicle. But rather than that kind of features in the consumer electronic devices, we have to make sure that those combination of configuration must not violate any safety capabilities. That's important, so that we have to evaluate it first. And also, some of the business guys in auto industry people may consider that we may be able to sell the software to the customer after we sell the vehicle to the customer. it sounds good in terms of the business point of view, but it's really hard. Who pay for the safety features newly introduced? You know, the customer may consider that that kind of safety feature must be provided immediately if you finished it up, right? So usually, we may not be able to put the price for the safety for the customer. So upgrading those safety features, probably we have to distribute that kind of features to the customer without any payment. So it's really hard. And then, why SDVs now? In the past, we changed the mechanical control of the vehicle with electrically controlled because tons of different configurations of the hardware set require lots of combination evaluations of those kind of things. If we can change the small customization by software or by electronic design, then it's pretty much easier than creating the real hardware mechanisms. So EE platform was introduced. And then that kind of a control is expanded to the communication between the vehicles and outside, which was named as thematic services. And then in the network side, there are tons of new features were introduced in every year, so that we have to catch up that kind of things. So the connected car must be presented for the customers. And then now, much more rapid evolution of the vehicle software, not just for the thematics or multimedia type of things, that's in the ADAS and LED capabilities. And especially for the VV, we have tons of new services more than before at the age of ICV, because the vehicle VV is stopped on the parking space or wherever it stops, or even in charging. It can be consuming the electric power for new features and new services. And we must prepare to not boring in a vehicle to just wait for charging, completion of charging the vehicles, so that it would take time, so that we might need to introduce the new features more than before. So that's why the VV is pretty much a good combination of evaluating the new software functionalities. That is SDV requirement, and that is the reason why the SDV is now focused. Now, how to develop the SDV? There are tons of things we have to consider, but the real important consideration is software should be able to evolve independently from each ECU hardware. Otherwise, we have to fix or replace the ECU hardware all the time whenever we change the software, right? So we have to make a clear separation between hardware and software in terms of ECU. And also alignment with various related regulations, including functional safety, cybersecurity, or software updates. Those kind of requirements must be meet, because the vehicle is not just for hobby. It's a safety critical systems. So we have to follow those kind of regulations anyways. And then what we should do first is design the vehicle-wide the allocation of the logical functionalities. And then hardware and software separation must be made clearly and define the structure of software architecture. And then map the software to the real hardware. In the figure, we have to design the software architecture. It's not really architecture, but it's very brief description of the logical structure of the software. Like, some of the new fancy functions must control the vehicle, but also it need need to talk to the cloud side. But some of the embedded software must be presented when the vehicle is offline. So those kind of things must be made. And all those kind of things is coordinated with a vehicle OS, not the software OS, it's the SoC OS. It's a vehicle OS to control make a consistency of the conditions and the state in the vehicle across the many ECUs. So those OS and the middleware must be presented to control the vehicle itself described in the underneath. And then place those functionality into the real hardware with taking a consideration of functional safety, failure recovery, fail-safe, and other regulations as well. So most important thing is we have to care the functional safety features more than before to allocate those kind of software into the hardware. And then we have to make those kind of software features and design the software earlier, from earlier stage. We have to introduce a CI/CD pipeline, or maybe probably we have to leverage open source software like AGL. Otherwise, we may not be able to catch up those kinds of tons of lines of the software source code from the scratch at each time. And then we introduced the simulators, emulators, and so on in the pipeline. So that's quite new in the auto industry. And what else is required? As I mentioned, the OTA software update mechanism is important because there are tons of the regulations, and also one of the regulations says that all the combination of the versions of software in a vehicle must be pre-tested and evaluated, and keep the record of evidence that the combination of the software versions doesn't harm anything. So that's pretty much important. And then software product line development is important. That is like this. No, it's like this. The single line of software must be kept to grow up the software with the new functionalities more and more. To do this, we have to take a control of those kind of software in our hands. It doesn't mean that all the software must be developed within the OEM by itself, but also we might need to make some collaboration or like a consortium type of things with those software capable design companies at the same time. But we have to grow up the software source code, growing, to catch up those kind of new features. And it would be used for the launching the new model of the vehicle. It would be used for a software update for the vehicles which was already sold in the market. So that's important things. And also, as I mentioned, the software update capability is required, and we have to keep maintaining the combination of the versions of software in a vehicle whenever it's updated, especially in the OTA ages, because we may not be able to adjust that kind of thing easily, so that the software, the OTA managing master must be presented to control those kind of things. And in the cloud side, also we have to keep the record of each the software version for each vehicle, because regulations says that we have to present the set of versions of software in a particular specified vehicle by the authority at any time. So that's we have to keep those kind of management systems all the time. That's very tough. Yep. So that's all. So the summary is SDV means defining the overall vehicle functions with the software architecture first. And the software size is increased, and introducing the new functionality by updating software in short cycle, and the cycle period of time is required right now. That's the reason why we have to introduce the SDV. It's not demanding. It's kind of the natural behavior to catch up those kind of things. And how to develop software efficiently without any cause of quality issues is now a key challenging point. And the differentiation of competence should be focusing on that point, rather than introducing the new functionalities. Keeping the safe conditions with the catching up all those kinds of new things, but it's more difficult to do it just introducing the new features in the market. So that's all. Thank you.